I have to start by talking about the sheer suffocating tension in the men's locker. We all know that country club locker rooms are the ultimate breeding ground for male ego and unspoken rivalries, but the dynamic between Carlton, Smitty, Ted, and Kial was off the chart. Carlton mocking Smitty for his absolute lack of basketball skills was a hilarious palate cleanser, especially with Smitty admitting he owes Martin a week of cooking his famous risotto as a penalty. But the lighthearted banter evaporated the second the conversation shifted to Nicole. The awkwardness between Kial, Carlton, and Ted was palpable. You could cut the tension with a scalpel. Kial, politely excusing himself to go see Nicole, left a massive void in the room, and Ted asking Carlton if it bothered him to see Kial with their mutual ex-wife was a masterclass in passive aggression. Carlton insists that he and Nicole are strictly friends and that they just didn't click romantically, but I am not buying it for a single second. You don't just turn off feelings that quickly, especially not in Fairmont Crest. So this makes me wonder, is Carlton harboring a deep, simmering resentment? Is he plotting a way to sabotage Kial and Nicole's honeymoon phase? And then we have Ted. Oh, Ted. He actually admitted out loud that seeing another man with his ex-wife makes him want to beat the guy to a pulp, but he claims he is a peacemaker now. My theory is that Ted is dangerously close to snapping. He might be playing the role of the enlightened, peaceful ex-husband who has moved on with Shanice, but that possessive streak is alive and well. When Kial conveniently overheard Ted's confession and thanked him for his restraint, it felt less like a genuine thank you and more like a subtle marking of territory. Everyone claims they want what is best for Nicole, but how long until this fragile truce shatters into a million pieces? Speaking of Nicole, she is absolutely glowing, completely oblivious to the alpha male posturing happening behind closed doors. She tells Ted how happy she is, and they even share a sweet congratulatory moment about their respective new relationship. But that is not all that is happening in the women's lounge. Nicole, being the incredibly perceptive woman she is, immediately notices that Vanessa is in a terrible, gloomy mood. Vanessa tries to brush it off, but Nicole zeroes in on the truth. It is about Joey and the sudden, ominous appearance of his sister, Heather. Vanessa confesses that she genuinely likes Joey, but his constant, terrifying warnings to stay away from his sister are driving her crazy. She just doesn't understand why he is so paranoid. Nicole theorizes that something incredibly deep and dark must have happened between the siblings, stating firmly that she would never accept a man keeping such massive secrets from her. But Vanessa is not Nicole. Vanessa is blinded by love, or perhaps by naivety. When Kial arrives and invites Nicole to his son Noah's open mic night, sealing it with a passionate kiss, Vanessa looks on with approval. But the contrast between Nicole's transparent, healthy romance and Vanessa's shadowy, secret-filled relationship is staggering. This brings me to Joey and his absolute meltdown at the casino. Watching Joey Armstrong, a ruthless, calculated casino boss, scream at his lackey for merely standing in the hotel lobby instead of directly tailing Heather was chilling. Joey is terrified. He is a man who deals with criminals, high-stakes gamblers, and dangerous thugs every single day, yet the presence of his own sister has him shaking in his expensive Italian leather shoes. When Vanessa arrives and demands a double date with Kial and Nicole, pushing Joey to share everything about his sister, Joey draws a hard, non-negotiable line in the sand. He flat out refuses. He tells Vanessa that she is better off not knowing, and if this is a deal breaker for her, she should walk away right now. And what does Vanessa do? She phones. She tells him that throwing away their relationship over this isn't worth it, claiming she accepts him and his... I was screaming at my screen. Vanessa is walking straight into a death trap. My theory is that Heather is the mastermind behind the plasma ring, the infamous impaler everyone is hunting. Joey knows exactly how lethal she is. By blindly accepting Joey's secrets, Vanessa is painting a massive target on her own back. What if Heather decides Vanessa is a liability? Could Vanessa end up kidnapped, held hostage in a dark basement, or worse, completely silenced? Joey thinks there are more interesting things to do than discuss his sister, but his silence might just cost Vanessa her life. Now, we desperately need to talk about the absolute madness happening in Bill Hamilton's hospital room at Garland Memorial. After surviving multiple heart attacks and having a pacemaker implanted, you would think Bill and his wife Haley would be focused on rest and recovery. Absolutely not. Bill is whining about wanting to go back to his own bed, and before we know it, they are getting physically intimate right there in the hospital. Enter Shanice, who bursts into the room and rightfully orders Haley to get off. Shanice lays down the law, stating that having sex right now is the fastest route to making Haley a widow. But here is the truly twisted part. I don't think Haley is just being a passionate wife. We know she has been actively, methodically poisoning Bill to collect his $10 million life insurance policy. So this makes me wonder, was Haley intentionally trying to overstimulate Bill to trigger a fatal cardiac event? Is she literally trying to sleep him to death? It is the ultimate Black Widow move. She knows his heart is incredibly weak, and she knows the pacemaker is brand new. Weaponizing intimacy to finish the job she started with her toxic green smoothies is diabolical. Bill, ever the arrogant fool, refuses to live a celibate life, even if it costs him his life. Once Shanice leaves, he immediately tells Haley to get back under the covers to test the durability of his pacemaker. It is repulsive and reckless, but karma comes knocking instantly when Bill's heart monitor starts blaring and beeping wildly. Nurse Ashley Morgan rushes in, covering her eyes in sheer horror, and demands they keep it PG. Bill has the audacity to demand a doctor discharge him immediately, while Ashley rightfully calls security to escort Haley out, threatening to ban her from the premises permanently. Haley vows to stay by Bill's side until his very last breath, a statement that sounds romantic to Bill, but sounds like a terrifying death threat to the rest of us. Will Bill survive this hospitalization, or will Haley find a way to finish him off before he ever leaves Garland Memorial? Let's shift gears to the bizarre and slightly pathetic dynamic between Leslie and Eva over at Orphe Jean. Leslie is trying to play the role of the supportive mother, asking Eva about her jagged transplant scar. Eva admits that Isaiah has been a massive help in making her feel better, wistfully wishing she had a steadfast man like that in her life. Leslie immediately pivots to bragging about her young lover, Detective Marcel Malone, claiming he makes her feel fantastic and that they don't need anyone else's validation. But Eva, who has zero filter and sees right through her mother's delusions, calls her out. Eva accuses Leslie of just killing time with Marcel, holding out false hope that she will eventually win back Ted Richardson. Leslie is deeply offended, but the universe has a hilarious sense of timing because Ted walks into the restaurant at that exact moment wearing a fabulous pink suit, no less. Ted completely ignores Leslie, walking right past her to ask Eva if she has found a therapist yet. Eva looks at her mother, hoping Leslie finally realizes that Ted wants absolutely nothing to do with her. She advises Leslie to stop wasting time on men who are emotionally unavailable to her. Leslie, desperate to prove her daughter wrong, immediately calls Marcel, demanding he put in more effort if he wants to stay with her. My theory is that Leslie is going to spiral out of control. What happens when Marcel realizes he is just a pawn in Leslie's pathetic game to make Ted jealous? Could Marcel turn on her, or will Leslie end up completely isolated and alone? Meanwhile, Ted is blissfully unaware of Leslie's scheming. He meets up with Shanice, and their conversation is so warm and grounded. They joke about peach cobbler and gossip about Bill and Haley's inappropriate hospital behavior. Ted declares that he is finally ready to meet Shanice's brother. Shanice warns him that her brothers will eat him alive, but Ted is confident he can win them over. It is beautiful to see Ted moving forward, but with Leslie lurking in the shadows and his lingering protective instincts over Nicole, I have to ask, is Ted's happily ever after with Shanice truly secure, or is a massive storm brewing on the horizon? Finally, we have to dissect the deeply concerning conversation between Martin and Smitty at their brown. The kids are out, and the couple shares a passionate, romantic kiss. They talk about needing more quality time together, dreaming of taking a vacation to a nude beach and just escaping the pressures of Fairmont Crest. It sounds like the perfect, idyllic future for a couple that has fought so hard to find their way back to each other. But then Smitty drops a massive bombshell. He tells Martin that while Martin is his paradise, he cannot leave town right now. He has unfinished business. Smitty is absolutely obsessed with taking down the serial killer known as the Impaler. He declares that he wants to continue his investigative journalism, expose the entire Red Market plasma ring, and put the killer behind bars. He vows that he will not stop until the truth is exposed. This is terrifying. We know that the impaler is ruthless, calculating, and highly dangerous. By actively pursuing this story, Smitty is painting a giant glowing bullseye on his own back. So this makes me wonder, will Smitty's relentless pursuit of the truth be his ultimate undoing? What if the impaler decides to silence the nosy journalist once and for all? Could Smitty be kidnapped, tortured, or even killed? The thought of Martin losing the love of his life just after winning his congressional primary and repairing their marriage is absolutely heartbreaking. Smitty is playing a very dangerous game with people who do not hesitate to end lives. I am officially terrified for his safety. What do you guys think? Is Haley going to successfully murder Bill right under the nurses' noses? Is Vanessa going to become collateral damage in Joey and Heather's twisted family war? And will Smitty's journalistic integrity cost him his life? The stakes have never been higher, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. Drop your wild theories in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into Beyond the Gates.